Make go amogele to Masheleng, your favorite financial literacy show. I'm your host, Seatla Ratsosa. Mo letsatsing la gompieno re taba re bua ka mo motswana e teng a go bitsa re soft life. Re taba re lebeletse bona botshelo bo ileng gore ke botshelo ba di restaurant, botshelo ba go tabogela ko mahatsheng a mangwe, botshelo ba go apara ka tsela e rileng, a be gongwe o posta o supentsha le ba ditsala mo di statuseng tsa gago. Ke botshelo bo ileng gore bontsi ja banana ba botshela le bagolo ba botshela. Me botshelo bo tshwanne go gore botshelo in a responsible manner. Mo letsatsing la gompieno we'll be discussing that and more. But before re tsena mo conversation ya rona letsatsi le moeng wa tota, re taba re tsa marako ba lateding ba Masheleng ra go utlwa gore a mme bone ba e tlhaloganya this lifestyle type of spending. A le bone ba e tshela, a ke dio tse leng gore ba le ka go di avoid le gore le ka tshela jang le tsone le batho. Re sa dina korta re taba go tse go bone ra go utlwa gore ba re
Tata go butsana gona this nothing like soft life to tell you the truth. It's just an atmosphere ele gore ya be diteng ka rapeng le rulinya le o ka mmile ka nako really be a soft life in Canada comfort to botebete bonyana jone jo no minute mo as soft life is something else.
The way I understand the word soft life, soft life is the desire ya go tshela gore o se mo kgatelelong ya di finance, o se na stress sa bo ya go ja eng gompieno, ditsala tsa ka dira 1 2 3 nna ha ke kgone go a di restaurant tse di fancy, ha ke kgone go apara fancy jaaka bone. Gore soft life nna ke bona ile pressure e leng gore batho ba itsenya ba le ka go tshela matshelo a leng gore a boketa ba palla ha ba kgone go a maintain ka tšhelete.
Soft life ke lifestyle e leng gore gore ka re motho e ka re motho a tshela sentle a wan e leng gore o tla batla go tse dintse di bone mo go ena whether o na le madi kana ha ona one ha ona one you try by all means gore o kgona go sita in.
I feel like being able to afford the things that you want, yeah, that's how I understand it.
So it's matter of perception happening, how you look things. Nga what I get most of like in cost kana 700 no gona. O mongwe ne wa go ntse. A re motho se bile 700. Nna ke batla 1 million before today we should 1 million also. It's matter of perception, the stage of life. The influencer and a comfort zone work I business soft life.
I don't think do that per se, but what is the kind of people that we hang out with? Lo irang gore neng kare atu awan ba tere ba fila gore le gore mo go to soft life ke bona go big clubs and everything, but soft life is not all about dituru. It's about how and how di rando tsa go ka teng.
Tota nna tumelo ka soft life, especially e portraywa mo maranyaneng bo Instagram bo Facebook, ke dumela gore ke bathela ba batla go portray what they don't have or what they are not. So ka bontsi re tsengwanda kgatelelo ke batho ba re ba tshela yone soft life mme ba sa re bontshe the real reality ya matshelo a bone. Ditshela motho a sokola o ya no go affecta thata gape gore motho ga a sokola a tlhoka thuso go nna tinga le gore a kope thuso yone because o showcase yone soft life e leng gore ga kgone go e maintain. So soft life ya maranyane tota yone mainly it's based off of just pretense. Ke di facade mostly, and mathata teng ke gore e direilisa banana ba bangwe ba batla yone that quick way to get to yone soft life or to get money, and they're not really willing to work for it. Now they would rather look the part instead of actually being the part.
It sounds very crazy in the sense that you're living a life that you don't have. You're living you're living a delusion of what you'd like.
Yeah, it's more expensive to live fake soft life than the real soft life. Because you wanna spend more to impress people, trying to fake what you are not really in. You really forced to create the atmosphere that does not exist.
Tata batha ba tons of life ke gona basadi ba di ngwaganyana tsa bo tata from 10 12 ka tata you pick yone batho ba ratang bosolo ba soft life
18 to 25, because I feel like those people are just, they are in a phase of discovering themselves. Yeah.
According to me, Actually, I wouldn't say 18. I would even go lower. I would say 16. Tota ebile mme 16 le ene ke dumela gore ke age e setseng e le ko godimo. These days soft life e kana e portrayiwa through different means of media mo o bona soft life mo di-movie mo di-seriesing mo musicing. So banana ba bangwe ba banyenyane ba tle ba le ba di-music video ba bona bomrepa ba bina ba tsentse di-chain ba tshwere dikoloi tse di mabelo, and they assume, hey, this is what I want, mare they don't know what you really have to put in gore o fitlhe gone koo.
I think re ka batla di-financial advisors with the level that we have, or ba go kgona gore ba go gakololle gore ka bonyenyane jo o nang le jone o ka ira yang.
I think the best advice is to tell him or her to do whatever makes her feel happy. If pretend is what he likes the most, I think he can pretend for the rest of his or his life so that he can be happy, so that he can die happy. But he must make sure that that pretense does not take him to prison. Okay. That is what I can say.
Tota, I would say first and foremost, put yourself first. You know, see really low di direla ba. Ba o we really dio tse leng gore le wena hela you are not proud of and you wish you could take back me ha go bereke yalo mo life. So basically just put yourself first, love yourself. Ka gore ga o ithata, you wouldn't put yourself in situations tse leng gore di ira gore o nne mo ona kgatellong yone willingly.
Don't fit in, guys. Stop fitting in. Know yourself. Understand yourself. You know your finances. Your finances are your finances. These people, if someone like, okay, shop, going to a restaurant is really not that expensive. That's one thing that I feel like people need to understand. Corey, taking yourself out is actually not that expensive. So don't see what other people are doing and then you want to do the same things. Know that you don't have man.
le ba ikutlwetse balatedi ba masheleng go a supagala gore ba e tlhaloganya soft life ba e bona batho ba tshela botshelo bo e leng gore ga ba bokgoni ba bua gape gore go mo ka re gape go gakatswa ke maranyane mo maranyaneng go nna go supagala batho ka re ba tshela botshelo bo e leng gore bo go godimo mme ba bangwe ba supa gore le bone ba na le kgathego ya go batla go tshela botshelo bo mme hela ga ba afodi ke ka mo letsatsing la gompieno re tla bo dibiditse a lifestyle expert who's also a social media content creator mme Lesego Rathedi gore a to re tharolela kganye le gore ke tsela e o tshwantseng go e tsaya gore dio tse o kgone go di dira tsotlhe di go berekela. Before we get on the conversation ra go tsaya motsotso re ikhutsa ha re boa kwa re simola wa conversation le mme Lesego.
No card? No problem. Experience the freedom with Wire today. BBS Bank. How far can we go?
Make go amogela gape and thank you so much for staying tuned in. Ne go tshepise before we went on the break gore tabarna le Lesego mo letsatsing la gompieno re bua ka se motswana e teng a re soft life. Lesego, thank you so much for joining us, Mashere.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Lesego, I've seen a lot of your content, and it moves around teaching people how to live a good life. But you also speak of responsibility. So gantsi ha ngwa motho e le gore o mo di ngwageng tse di kwa tlase a le ka go pitaganya dilo tsa go tsa botshelo gape le gona batla go tshela sentle. How would you advise people to go about that?
I think it becomes super tricky. I'm a big believer that practicing financial discipline doesn't mean that you can have that. It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy certain aspects of your life, right? When it comes to lifestyle, you'll find that I'll go restaurant hopping or I will show myself traveling. But what people don't actually know is that I would have planned for those expenses moons before, right? When it comes to travel, I'm not yet in a position where I can travel alone. I mean, I'm entry level at the place that I'm working at. Ke santse ke tsena sekolo. And so you'll find that my friends and I, re tla bo re tsaya our allowance and we'll pool together our funds to be able to actually afford to travel. So I found that in my saving journey, doing it with people has saved me so much money. People are actually surprised when I tell them that my friends and I also have a motelo. They talk about it as if it's something from way back when, but you'll be surprised gore motelo wa teng ke diaparo. It's just about actually being able to save together and hold each other accountable in our goals. So that's definitely something that I wanted to share.
I think that's interesting because I think ke gone go mo e leng gore go imela banana because mo le mo batho ipona le nosi a dira so sa gagwe and then wa amogela 2,000 you are earning 3,000 a month. You've always been dreaming of crossing the border. It seems like it's a dream e leng gore ka thola e diragala o le dilwana e le gore ka dilwana tse e leng gore gongwa di bata o ka tsaya dinepe tse di smart yalo so ha motho e le gore gongwa amogela madi a kalo a na le keletso ya go ipona le ene gore o apara ka tsela e rileng. How would you advise them?
Definitely patience and understanding that looking sharp doesn't necessarily mean that you have to break the bank. Ke kgona go tsamaya ke a go reka diaparo really anywhere, whether I'm thrifting, ke ile BBS kana I'm, in what we call Chinese stores or discount stores. And still making sure that I'm able to look sharp regardless. So what I always tell my friends is that it doesn't matter where you're buying the clothes, it matters how you present yourself, right? And that when I speak to patience, I mean in the sense of understanding that we are not running a similar race when it comes to our financial goals and some of our financial burdens. I understand that I have my parents as a cushion. Someone else out there might not necessarily have that same security. And so it's just about understanding that now is not the time to draw comparison, but to be intentional about making sure that your income is steady and that you're able to save what you can. Yeah.
So motho a go botsa gore a re gona I'm 30 years or 20 years ke ne ke eleditse go travel, I want to go overseas but madi a ke a amogelang a manyenyane. If you say patience, they have to be patient. O lebeletse gore gongwe ba ka enjoya ba se ba le kae ka dingwaga.
Not that you have to wait 10 years, but that you need to start planning for it now. So, for example, the trip that I was referring to, in 2023, we started putting away my 200 bula. And you start to think to yourself, how can you go all the way to South Africa, got 200 bula? But we were able to achieve it. Rubutse, a fixed account being something an account that doesn't allow you to dip into the money. Because I know that some people struggle with discipline. Like it's a 100 pula today, and then next thing you know, the money has already been depleted. So we set up a fixed account, locked it, and deposited automatically. My 200. Another thing that was critical was understanding that you don't book for travel in a peak season. You don't book your Easter trip ka Easter. Yeah, you do it months before, off season, because the prices actually fluctuate. And so if you are knocking down in small actionable steps, that savings goal becomes much less scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As little as 200 pula.
As little as 200.
Nako nngwe kana mo masheleng a re bua ka tsone dikgang tsa ma 200 pula batho tla ba feel gore re batla go rotloetsa batho gore ba ska ba ja go monate. And I like that you encourage people to live that life e leng gore it's fulfilling but at the same time still ba ntse ba leka go pusha to the main goals sa botshelo. So I want us to talk about restauranting because yone kana ke re ga re ke ra emela gore o turn 30 o le 20 gore o simolola wa di restaurant le wena o kgone go bona ona le batho. So ke ngwa dio tse leng gore go a supagala gore when it comes to people's budgets.
Yeah.
Go ja madi a mantsi go reka dijo ya la mo strateng kana go a maitisong.
That's true.
O ka advise motho yang gore e le monana gore o ka dira yang for dikgang tsa di restaurant gore a di manage sentle.
Hey, so I'm a big believer in looking out for the specially. I won't normally go out and just splurge unnecessarily. Ke tla ke emela 2 for 1, platter for 2 in a link discounting so that I'm actually able to account for that in advance. When it comes to plate on a daily basis, I've actually found that when I add those 40 pulas, I've spent more than I would have if I had gone somewhere, bikereka grocery. And so it's about discipline and understanding that, if I can allocate a set amount to my food, maybe 800 or so, okay, this is the food that I splurge on. you'll find that you're spending way less. Yeah.
So would you advise gore motho ga even for things like food?
Yeah.
Only a tracker
Yeah.
of such and also a budget of such restauranting and stuff.
Absolutely. I don't know if you can help me explain it better. But what I'll do is I'll set up an ideal budget, a realistic one, and then I'll compare at the end of the month to be able to say, this is how much I should be spending and saving. This is how much I want to be in an ideal world, spending or saving. And then I compare on a monthly basis. Me, did I honor that commitment that I made to myself? And was it worth it? To honor that actual commitment. So I believe in trackers. I believe in setting up, even if you open your notes app and just writing down your expenses and comparing it to your income as well. Simple things. You don't have to purchase an application. You don't have to overthink it. Just be able to write it down and compare on a monthly basis. Yeah.
Yeah. Go na le kgang eno o bua ka yone ya motshelo. Do you think it's ideal also when we speak about food? Go a di-restauranteng, go a go itisa. A ke nngwe ya dilo tse e leng gore le ka di direla motshelo le batho ba tsamayang mmogo?
To me, a motelo is just about pulling funds for something that's important to you. Ha ele gore you feel like, okay, I want to have motelo for grocery and it's important to you, or motelo wa go aga ntlo and it's important to you, or motelo for travel and it's important to you, then it's something that I would encourage. It's not necessarily to say that motelo is what we normally associate it with or what I associate my parents with. I know that with my sibling, their motelo is such that they can set up their own businesses. So ha ele gore o batla go simolla go rekisa dikoko, that money that they've pulled together actually will go towards starting each other's businesses. So it's about shared goals that are important to you.
Absolutely. Lesego ke batla rena re e tshwere gone ha. We are going to go for a commercial break ha re boa kwa re taba re tswelela. Ke tsa ke re wa ikutlwela ebile wa ithuta. Soft life e kgona go dira gore botshelo ba go bonne hard. Go na le ditsela tse e leng gore o tshwanela ke gore o tsamaya ka yone. O ska wa suta, we'll be back after the break.
Teach them to save, to grow, and to dream. BBS Bank's Youth Account, where little steps lead to a big future. BBS Bank. How far can we go?
Me ke go amogela gape re tswelledisa puisano ya rona le Lesego. Lesego, before we went on the break, you mentioned a lot of things. I think mo go nna se leng gore it really spoke to me ke kgang ya gore le ntse o bata dilo tse di molemo ko pele. O tshwanela ke gore o tshele gompieno. So gantsi o ithela le gore banana they are stressed ka dikgang tsa gore gangwe ba tlhokomela le ko malapeng. So how do you maneuver around the situations when ntseng yalo a tlhokomela ko gae go na le mathoko a kalo le gore o kgone gore o tshele botshelo be mo le mo a botlhokwa?
I get you. It's a matter of prioritization. Naturally, if you find that you are the breadwinner, kulaping, your priorities will always be to your family, to your bills. And it's not necessarily that you want to live a certain lifestyle, then you should put yourself in debt. No. It is such that with what little you have, tend to your primary responsibilities, and whatever you have in excess where possible, that's what will go to your leisure. So some people like to put that into quantities. There's the 50-30-20 rule, where someone will say 50% of my income will go to those priorities, those bills, those non-negotiables. 30% will go to my savings, and maybe 20% will go to leisure. So depending on your income, your split might be different. Some people might find that, okay, in breadwinner, it means that 70% is going to, my home, my family. But that 30 is still meant for you. So that's how I approach it, to say that, okay, ha re tshwane in our backgrounds, but we can still be able to segment where possible.
Absolutely. Go na le kgang ya social media. I want us to touch on it. And because malatsing a la maranyaneng ha o tsena content e leng gore is trending. Ke ya motho o tshwereng bag e ntšha, motho o mo flighteng, le gone malatsing ana ba itse go dira toilet seat o ba e bayana e be nna o kare ke flight. So we see those things every day. And these things, we can't take them lightly. They're very influential. And then also, abarna content, it's good content. Like social media is everything. So I get oka rotwetsa banana gore what type of content should they look out for? Gore ba kgone go improve such that then they can live the life ya content e ba e rata.
Okay. So you'll find that, speaking as a content creator myself, I might sell a certain lifestyle, but it might not necessarily be what I'm consuming. I'm studying accounting, so you'll find that I'm actually absorbing more financial literacy. I'm absorbing your saving tips, and that's what will pop up on my algorithm. And then what I come forward and communicate to you might be my recent purchases or my recent expenses or the life that I'm living. And that's a distinction that I want to draw, to say what you see on social media might not necessarily be a true reflection of what's actually happening. You might find that, okay, this person is somehow going to every restaurant, but you don't know that they're not footing the bill when they go to that restaurant. They've been called, and it's not an expense that they're incurring, but you are putting yourself under so much pressure. Why can't I do the same? We're earning the same 1.9. How is this possible? And that's something that we need to be aware of, that, listen, there's brands involved, there's people that ensure that all of this content comes out a certain way, and that's so that you're able to enjoy it in that polished and beautiful manner. So that's something that I wanted people to know. There's a lot happening behind the scenes, and all of these things come in due time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Make go leboga.
Yeah.
Ke tsa ke re o ithutile go le gontsi mo letsatsing la gompieno. Lesego a bua gore nako nngwe ha o postile mo social media, o ele thoko kana ithele gore motho o mo kgwebong. Ga o kgweba ka dikesi, ha gore wena o na le lerato la dikesi, ke business e leng gore o e lemogile. Le content creator ba ntse yalo ba lebella se e leng gore batho ba thata ka go sone a be ba se dira, mme se gore ke botshelo bo e leng gore ba botshela. We'll be moving to the last segment of our show e leng gore mo yona re tla gore tsa dipotso le dikakgelo ko balateding ba masheleng o ska ba suta. And we have come to the last segment of our show. Ye leng gore mo yone re na re tsa dipotso le dikagelo tse tswang go balateding ba masheleng on our social media platforms. Mo letsatsing la gompieno re na le potso e tswa ko go Thapelo. Thapelo ena re, my partner and I moved together, but we've never discussed how to split finances. Where do we start? Thapelo ga ile gore ga o iso tsene mo lenyalong, nka go rotloetsa gore this is the time when you are dating to disclose everything. Le bue ka matshwenyego a lona a madi, le bue ka dikeletso tsa lona tsa madi, vision ya lona ka madi gore le batla go direng ka madi, because go dinga le gore le te le split le tsone gore nna ke duela se, nna ke duela se, go sena sepe se eng gore you are building towards. I've seen a lot of people ba ileng gore they are trying to build together, but we tell le gore ha gongwe ka lesego la amogela madi a mantsi. So because la amogela madi a mantsi, all the bills can be covered. But the problem always comes letsatsi le leng gore yo mongwe go ngota ba sa thola kgona go tsenya letseno. That is where the problem starts. So le tshwanela ke gore le itse gore le batla go achieve eng, so that you can save together, you can invest together, and then at the same time gape a bo le itse gore di bill di splita yang. Le gone go splita kana ga le batho mo lapeng, le tshwanela ke gore le itse gore le nne le di account tse di harologaneng, le nne le a joint account where all the family expenses are put. A bo le nna le account e leng gore ke a gago o le Thapelo, go nne le account e leng gore ke a partnera ya ga Thapelo, and then a bo nna le account e leng gore le savela mo go yone, le account e leng gore le investa mo go yone, le jointly. But you can't achieve much if all of these things are going to be separate. Lerato gompieno ke batho o dumela gore le bo le sentse le ha go dimonyana, mme go a go taletsa tse di leng gore it will be dipping, not because taba le kgaogana, because go na le mathata a leng teng. Finances ke tsone dilo tse e leng gore di ka kgona gore di le build a bo di boa di le busetsa mmogo, because se le se batang mmogo ke se e leng gore le ntse la itse gore le tshwanetse gore le sa achieve. Re tsa potso ya bobedi e leng gore e tswa go tshogofatso. Tshogofatso a re, I'm planning a wedding in December yana, but we don't have a budget. how do we avoid starting marriage in debt? Tsegofatso o botsa potso e leng gore e botlhokwa thata e tshwenya batho ba le bantsi. Ra itse gore a lot of marriages di simolola ka dikoloto, and then ha o se o simolola o tsena mo sekolotong sa teng, ha le during period ya honeymoon batho ba bereka go leka go lwantsha dikoloto tse e leng gore di a ba imela. Or sometimes o ithelele gore ga le tsena mo lenyalong ke gone e leng gore yaanong ke gone le lemogang gore go ha go ntse go na le mathata a mantsi e leng gore our partners ba ta ka one ba tsenya mo lenyalong, depending on the type of marriage e leng gore o tsena mo go yone. It could be in community of property, it could be out of community of property. All of these things have great implications mo botshelong ba gago ga o ntse o tswelela wa ko pele. But nka go rotloetsa yana, lenyalo kana ka bolone ka molao ga le ture, ga se go mo go turang, ga go a tshwana le go tsene mo dikolotong. Go mo go turang is to do a wedding, a celebration e leng gore e na le ditante, go thabiwa dikgomo, go invite-iwa batho ba le 1,000. Ke gone go mo e leng gore go jela batho ba le bantsi madi. Lenyalo ka bolone hela, molao wa lehatshe la Botswana ga o tsenye ope mo mathateng, ga te o duele 40 pula and then a bo ka kgona gore o nyale. Batsadi le bone ko gae, magadi ba ipatela dikgomo di le 8 a bo ka kgona gore o nyale, ebile o kgona ba kopa gore ke tata ke dintsha ko moragonyana. So dilo tse tsotlhe you need to be open with your parents, and I'm saying with your parents because ke itse gore that is where the problem mostly comes from. Be open with your parents gore ke tshwere yana, ga nka ka kgona go hetaga, mme ke ne ke eletsa jana le jana le jana le jana. If you can have those conversations with your parents and then together with your partner and their parents, o ka tsena mo lenyalong o sena dikoloto. But ha o ka didimala hela bo re o swa senku, ke a itse gore go swa senku go raya gore wa bo tabogetse go gongwe o ile go bata mathata a eng gore wa go a introduce mo lenyalong la gago, a be lenyalo la gago le ta le nna le dikgwetho go ya ko pele. Ke tsaya ke re dipotso tsa lona re kgona gore di tshwaele mo letsatsing la gompieno. Go itse mang gongwe mo bekeng e tang e tabele wena re araba potso ya gago, o ska wa itsapa go lathela potso kana ka kgelo on any one of our social media platform. E ka nna Facebook, it could be TikTok, it could be YouTube. It's Masheleng on all the social media platforms. Until we meet again on your favorite financial literacy show, I'm your host, Seatla Ratsos. Wa gakologelwa gore madi a gago ga ana boleng ja one bo mo goreng wa dirisa.